Okay, so after that presentation, I feel like this is presentation light. That sit back thing, I was like, sit back, they're exhausted, they didn't sit back, they fell back. But it shows that there's levels of the business that we all need to pay attention to. There's the tactical, work hard, have good systems, have good processes that I think Boyd did a great job of showing. I think my presentation is sort of aimed at maybe a thought process. So some of you have heard this about me before. I am the opposite of so many of the speakers here today. I'm not a farm kid. I didn't grow up on a farm. I'm a city guy who grew up in the city. My parents briefly owned a mushroom farm. That doesn't count. I get that. Not those kind of mushrooms. Dude, actually, maybe they were. I'm an airline guy. I actually spent 10 years working in a Canadian airline by the name of WestJet that really focused on culture, and as a result of culture, took a commodity-based industry and made it an incredibly successful story over the last few years, last 14 years, really 15 years. So when I came into the industry, I came into it with a different look and a different feel. I started asking questions like, what's going on, what's missing? And everybody said so far, strong dealership level branding is so important, and we as a company, Rocky Mountain Equipment, we were probably known by 30 different trade names, everything from Highway Service, Hammer Equipment, Wardale, Roydale, Mayorville. Everybody knew we sold primarily Case IH equipment, but they were not necessarily aware of who we were as a company and what we stood for. So the first thing we wanted to do is go out and establish who are we and what do we stand for. And Tim had some examples of that on Jan's. Certainly Rocky Mountain Equipment has done the same thing. To say Rocky Mountain Equipment, we have a tagline that goes on everything that we put out there, which is dependable is what we do. And the way we came to that, frankly, was not to talk about ourselves, but to talk about what the value is to our consumers. So we went out and did some customer-facing tests. We sat down with them and talked about what's important to you. And what became really apparent, and it was a great education for me, was what people are really interested in is that you're going to be there. There's a certain assumption now that the technology is going to be somewhat ubiquitous. We're all going to chase technology, but we're not going to have an edge on technology very long between brands. Deere will copy great ideas from Case. Case will copy great ideas from Deere. Eventually, the machinery will level out. And on price will be price, and everybody's always going to want a lower price, and we're, as a dealer, always going to want a higher price. So the thing that you're ultimately selling is confidence. And so to have that confidence in the dealer, you have to present that as one of your value propositions. And to do that, you have to brand. Now, the first thing that I worry about when I say the word brand is everybody goes, oh, cool logos and a nice tagline. Branding actually has to go from the bottom up. And if you take all of these slides that I'm going to go through, and I'm going to blast through some of them because, frankly, I'm reiterating comments that other people have had. There are two things you need to worry about inside your business. It's people and data. And the angle I'll take on data is a little different, but on the people side, your branding needs to be reflective of who they are. Not just who your company is, but what they believe in. It's not what we do. We all sell equipment. It's the how and the why. That's what branding is about. And how and why has to be reflected at the point of the dealership. When somebody comes in and talks to a parts tech, do they actually reflect the blend? Do they actually reflect the brand value you have? So if you're talking about being dependable, and the parts tech says, yeah, no, got it, it's not real dependable. The parts tech says, hang on a sec, let me make some phone calls, let me hunt this down for you. Oh, I see you're in a hurry, I'll call you on your cell. That's dependable. So when you're talking about your brand proposition, you need to make sure that it's actually reflective of the things you hold dear that your people are going to follow. I won't belabor these slides simply because I think we all get the point. One of the things I wanted to highlight with these two slides is the difference between Nike and Reebok. So 12 years ago, Nike was about $800 million worth of revenue. This year they'll be closing on $19 billion. When you think of Nike, so how many people live in golf? Anybody hear golf? Everybody seen the new Nike ad with Tiger Woods and Roy McIlroy? You guys seen that? It's kind of a cool ad. There's very little product placement there. There's two guys hitting balls off the tee, doing some neat tricks. The association with Nike is you're associating with winners. You're associating with a lifestyle, with some fun, with some energy. They are not there selling you a technical product. Reebok, on the other hand, has some very technical ads. RBK puts out some real technical ads about performance and stats. And you know what? They fall flat. Nike's growth versus Reebok's growth is 50% again what Reebok's growth has been, or what Nike's growth has been in the last 10 years, 11 years. And frankly, it's all on brand. The equipment itself, the technology is available to everybody. Those guys go to the same schools, the physics works the same way, nobody gets a pass on gravity. It works the same way. But what Nike has done is they've associated themselves and created an ethos around themselves that by buying and wearing Nike, you're a winner. Right? How many overweight middle-aged guys like me wear Under Armour or Nike? Because you're associating with a lifestyle. And we can do the same thing with dealerships. By associating with a certain dealership brand and creating a brand and an ethos around who we are, you can say, I'm committed to my business. And that's why branding is so important, but it has to be reflected at the bottom end. Because marketing guys, frankly, we get painted sometimes as the people who put lipstick on pigs. It's still pig. But if you're actually showing what you believe is a core value that you hold dear, that you work towards every day, that's real branding. That carries real power. People will see through those things in no time. There's lots of different ways to success. So you think of Southwest, and the financial success and the stability that they've had over their years of operation since 1973. And you think about Delta. The two of them have a very different approach to the way airlines should work. Right now, they're both making money. But they're known for certain things. When you think of Southwest, you think of some of the fun, crazy things they do. You look at the ads and the pictures they've got. The Southwest guys have got a guy who looks a lot like me, overweight and slightly balding, with a letter painted on his belly, talking about we carry free bags. And the Delta folks have got some very professional, very serious-looking folks standing in an airport looking awfully important. But they speak to the people that they're trying to speak to. Southwest is there for the people who are a little bit irreverent and are a little bit price conscious, and they hit their target market. They go after it. But it's consistent all the way through. You see that when you actually talk to the folks at Southwest. You see the same thing when you talk to the folks at Delta, right? It's not that they're bad, they have a different ethos, they have a different way of going about it. Both of them can work, it's not a value judgment, but it's about being consistent all the way through. So let's say that you've got this brand, you've built this brand, and now what you need to do is you need to communicate it. Well, the big thing that I see in this industry that amazed me was we spent a lot of time talking about equipment, the product that we sell. The thing that we really, personal opinion, that we really need to spend more time about is talking about the customers we sell it to. So we have all these great valuation tools. I'll give you an example of this. So we're a 38, soon to be 40 dealership model. We have a valuation guide. We look at it and we say, okay, we're taking in an 8120 on trade. It's 270,000 bucks. That's what the guide says. So we're going to value it at 270,000 bucks. That's this magical assumption that there is an endless pool of customers that have all figured out what the value is. If we have 19 8120s that are the same year with the same option package, the value of the 20th 8120 we get is not 270,000 bucks, unless we know how many customers there are on the other end to actually sell it to. If there are hundreds of customers looking for an 8120, the value might be 300,000 bucks. If there are 10 customers looking for an 8120, the value is about 180. Right? The theoretical one unit sale doesn't tell you the actual marketability to sell that unit. And your inventory can tell you whether or not you got that. But to know that, you have to know the customers. Instead, what we tend to do as a dealership group is we tend to look at the internal inventory number. What we need to be doing is looking at customers and going, well, where are the available customers for this unit? Is it properly placed within our network? So marketing's job is to help identify some of those pieces. Right? My opinion is we're out there looking for the opportunities so that we can set the sales guys on a course that's likely to yield them some value. We're not actually there to try and sell people things they don't want. We're not actually there to just do pure selling. Selling is the job of the sales group. Marketing is there to say, hey, here's some opportunity. Let's go mine some and find that out. So data as an asset, what you need to be able to do as a dealership group now is combine all of that transactional data that's available to you, probably your existing dealer information system. But combine that with some of your e-marketing efforts, and combine that with some of the readily available mapping and other technologies that are out there. So I'll give you an example of where we're headed. We've taken a map of all of our SSAs across the provinces we operate in. We've bought a map that shows soil types and common crop types by those regions. We've overlaid into that our customer data as well as competitive customer data where it's been available. We're going to do a marketing campaign to get people to add their name and their email address address and their cell phone address into that database for us, so that we can actually map where people are and what they're likely to do, even if they're not a customer of ours. And then start cross-referencing those two pieces of data when we send stuff out. So I'll have a master email that goes out, but then there'll be 5 different flavors of it depending on what the crop type is. So the corn guy gets something that's much more specific to corn. The wheat guy gets something that's much more specific to wheat. The used purchaser gets something that's much more specific to used. But to get that, the first thing you have to have that we tend not to have a great hold on is what kind of a customer is that customer? The other thing that people fall into the trap of, and it's a desire to sort of establish some control, is that we try and grab data by telling the customer, well, you tell me what you are. What kind of? Fill out this profile. Well, the problem is everybody's profile changes. How many farmers constantly, always, only farm the same thing? At some point they go, you know, maybe I'm going to try this strain, this crop, this style this year. You have to be able to watch some of this stuff in real time. And so watching their actual demonstrated behavior is the key, not relying on some fixed profile that they've put in the past. The easiest way to get at that stuff, and I'm not being paid by any of the business intelligence providers, is frankly by taking the data you've got in your systems and the data available from third-party sources, and obviously Iron Solutions is one of our sponsors, is a route to finding some of this info, and combining the two into a consolidated look at what your customer opportunities, customer base looks like. That's really when marketing is hitting the road. You've got a strong brand, people understand what you're trying to say, people understand what you stand for, and you're marketing to them in a way that makes sense for them personally. Because it can't all be just about us. We're this, so you should come and deal with us. It's we're this, and we understand this about you. That's why you should come and do business with us. And if you think about the relationships that this industry was built on, that's what we had when you had salespeople who knew every guy in their sales territory. But as we've expanded, those distances get greater and all of those challenges come in. You can't expect a guy to cover his entire territory for 4 days. But the technology can help you replicate some of that data, and if you're smart about capturing and holding it, then you actually have an angle in which you can market to people in an efficient and effective way.